Hello, and welcome to the Sad Dads Club podcast. Here's everybody's favorite sad dads, Jim and Foo.
Take 2 of these and call me in the morning.
I was looking at, oddly enough, and listening, trying to make the not safe for the intros.
Yeah.
Those clips.
Yeah.
How hard we
That's
tried
what
totally. How hard we were trying to like the A block, C block.
Oh,
D
yeah,
block
yeah.
Stuff.
We just kind of gave up on that.
It just because we
just kept talking through the time frames.
We would have.
We'd be like, shit, we got to get to this.
An A block topic
Uh-huh.
that would just take up C block, B block, D block.
True.
You know, it's like, whatever. Fucking structure.
Yeah.
Who needs structure?
Probably,
If you're here, you're not looking for structure.
probably some other podcast
Yeah.
would
That's
be my guess.
not us.
Welcome to the Sad Dads Club podcast.
I'm the Lord Foo.
I'm Jim.
It's episode 120.
Yeah.
And if you're here, you've made it through the new year.
Some of us barely, apparently. God damn it.
I mean, as we were getting into the garage and I was setting up stuff, I'm like, man, I just don't know if there's anything to cover this week.
Well, it's like, we have all been looking forward to the end of 2020.
Right.
And nothing bad will happen in 2021. It's all going to go away.
Right. We're just kind of like, here's a chance to
Start anew.
Turn a new leaf. New Year's resolutions, make it happen.
Yeah.
Just good opportunities.
Yeah. But sometimes that leaf burns up.
Yeah, sometimes that goes to shit in a giant inferno.
Oh, Jesus.
So if you're following any of my socials, or if you've even the
We had a
podcast socials,
We did have a mention on the show.
I got a call on New Year's Day evening, and I'm so glad that I wasn't still tanked or hungover. I didn't really drink much anyway. I was lucky. So I got a late call from my sister-in-law.
This was on the 1st, right?
The 1st, so roughly about 9:30 on the 1st. So we're already like, I hadn't even approached the kids or Venus with like, it was like going to be like a dinner dessert thing. Like, all right, so what are our New Year's resolutions? I think we were all just kind of like chilling a bit. And I just hadn't had the conversation yet. And I get a call from Kim, sister-in-law.
Yeah.
They live within 5 to 10 minutes just down the road, but they're in the area. So as I pointed out in like a giant, like, here's the after action report, I guess.
Yeah.
Was like, I'm a tech guy. No one calls me, and I don't pick up the phone.
If we're talking to you, it's through Hangouts,
Right.
Discord,
or
a
memes,
text message,
or GIFs, or
Yeah.
something. Rarely do I answer a phone call. Either the FaceTimes or a video chat or a Zoom.
I mean, sometimes I go to your website and fill out the form.
Right.
You
You
know.
could do that.
Yeah.
Your bathwater purchase is still in your cart, by the way.
Okay.
I need you to process that.
I'll get it.
So to get a phone call, especially from Kim, it's like, well, all right, what do we got here? Ha ha ha.
Well, also, if you listen to the show, you know Kim. Like if you
Right.
listened way back.
Right. We did. They have their own podcast, Murders and Myths, and we did an April 1st or an April Fool's show crossover where they told typically their genre of podcast while we threw rocks at her and Kristen trying to deliver stuff, and then we made comments and dressed up in
monkey chest beating.
Yes, and
Yeah.
shit flinging.
Yeah.
So you would probably recognize Kim if you've been listening to the podcast for any length of time. So Kim calls me. She is clearly distraught and frantic, and then delivers the New Year's Day bomb that the cars and her house and the garage are on fire, but everyone's okay. To which I'm like, not how I saw 2021 getting off on the right foot.
This is day one.
Yeah, day one. Literally day one.
This is day one.
And, you know, the typical, like, what can I do? What do you need from me? She doesn't really know. Things are obviously just coming at her sideways and diagonal. But I don't know. I'm not getting this call from my brother. So I kind of get like a brief from her, which was not much outside of that the kids and the family were okay. One cat was okay, but they had lost 2 pets. And she'll contact me as soon as she knows more or something is needed. Hang up the phone, brief my family.
Did you just start drinking right away?
Yeah. I mean,
no,
but
I know.
You know, it's
you would have liked to.
It's at the fringe of my fucking mind, right?
Yeah.
It's like, why not? So brief my family. Shit's about to get real, like real fast.
Yep.
Obviously, we have amenities here and space, and you know, we'll make adjustments for COVID and whatnot. But really, it's more about shelter, food, and health, and the girls, the 2 little girls who were 8, so they're twins, in case that was never mentioned. I get a call shortly thereafter with Kim with like a new update, and that was that my brother had 2nd-degree burns on his fingers, and he immediately left the scene in an ambulance to the UC Davis burn unit that's down in Sacramento, which was a throw off to me, because when I heard UC Davis, I figured they actually took him to Davis. I was unaware that UC Davis actually has like a facility in Sac.
Get with the program, man.
Right, I didn't know. And then Venus obviously went, well, duh, that's where Dragon was for her thing. So Venus knew exactly what Kim was talking about, but I didn't. And then she, you know, could you come get me and the girls? Like, absolutely, I'm in the car. I'm on my way right now. At that point in time, it also starts to rain. So, you know, like fucking would have been nice to have a little bit more rain when the fire started.
Yeah.
Get there, and I kind of just stand there for a bit with her.
So what was the scene when you rolled up to the
4
house?
engines.
Okay.
Obviously the street was blocked off. A lot of looky-loos. I'm here. She says, you're cleared with law enforcement. You can walk up. So I see her. I walk up. Tons of firemen doing exactly what you would hope they would be doing. Lots of hoses, lots of water, putting the fire out. For the most part, by the time I got there, they were dealing with hot spots. Mm-hmm. But everyone was doing a thing. Kim had like a police liaison with her, and then shortly thereafter, I don't know what the title was, but I would say like a fire coordinator, like not a fireman, so he wasn't dressed in like the whole leathers and the canvas and denim.
Maybe
and whatnot.
A chief or something?
Could be.
Or a battalion chief or something?
No, the battalion chief was in full fireman garb, so it wasn't that kind of person. It kind of just looked like a coordinator.
Okay.
So she had a policeman that was there, like briefed her on essentially not the crime part, but just there to, I think, work between firemen and the fire coordinator. An arson investigator showed up and asked her questions while I was standing there. Oddly enough, to be standing next to my sister-in-law and men of service coming up to her, they would start the conversation with her, but they would direct the talk to me. They would turn and like as soon as so.
You're like,
it was. I can see some of the struggle. Obviously, there's like a misogyny here because you can see how she's the homeowner. At no point did I
introduce yourself.
I had not spoken a single word. I'm just standing next to her.
Yeah.
And they would come and like start to brief her, and then as I'm standing there, like they would just kind of like pivot and then start looking at me like, okay, so here's the next step. Da, 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 da. And it's kind of like one of those bewilderment things from my perspective. Like, I'm just a comfort guy. I'm brother,
I'm brother-in-law.
But I'm not going to say anything because then it's like taking away from the severity of the situation. Like she just you talk to her. She's the queen here. Her.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
But everyone was super professional outside that observation. The arson investigator was very cordial.
So are you saying you don't want to defund the firemen or anything now?
They're all amazing guys.
You're good?
That was totally good.
Okay. I just meant to make sure.
The arson investigator like made jokes and whatnot to kind of try keep the thing light.
Yeah.
You know, he did ask her like typical like CSI type of questions, like, you know, what can you tell me? He was keeping a notepad. It's very interesting to see that perspective, like not in a TV show. It was very like almost out of body to be like, wow, you know, this is, you know, if you've ever watched the NCISs or CSI, to be actually hearing firsthand some of like the typical investigatory questions, it was very weird. He went inside to kind of, the arson specialist, he went inside to kind of get like a eye on stuff. He had found like Brett had like been keeping like a piggy bank, like Venus does when we were doing like our Hawaii trips. I don't know if she did it for the UK trips, but if she ever touched a $5 bill, it went to like a kitty. Like she, you know, this is the thing I'm saving. Brett had something like that he like, this goes here, this is saving. Some of it was saved, so the guy noticed it, the arson specialist noticed it, and like brought out like his kitty. He's like, just in case some of this you can turn, obviously burned to a portion cash can be traded back in because it's legal tender. Yeah. So, you know, that was saved. So, no one was shady like, oh, fuck, there's money over there. You know, no one was pocketing anything.
Well, that's a positive.
Right, a positive, right? You could see like a debriefing session, like once all the hot spots were out, like the battalion chief briefed all the things, their notifications. It was weird to see that. And then as things wrapped up, she got like another debrief on like how things go. So the fire departments and the engines would slowly leave the scene. And then an inspector would come to kind of get an eye on really about at least 50-ish% of the house was completely lost. The back half of the house, which was, bedrooms and an office, while it wasn't burnt, was water damage from the hoses, smoke damage for sure. And then, as things were broken in order to get ventilation and hoses into places, you had that kind of structural damage.
Yeah, drywall ripped out and stuff like that.
So an inspector comes and basically says whether or not the house can be entered by non-emergency personnel for
structurally checking
to get access to belongings that weren't damaged. Yeah. So someone would come to do that for her, and then a team of essentially like a construction team of boarders would then come and like border up the house and like place a fencing, and then they would have to work with, in order to get back into the house, they would work with that team. An interesting thing that she was briefed on was that essentially like lawyers at, like you would see the whole trope of ambulance chasers. She was told that essentially her address and things and people listening to scanners, contracting companies and insurance whatevers would start coming at her like, hi, we specialize in fire damage repair, fire, and they would be on her like essentially like vultures on a carcass. And it was like, fuck, wow, really? People are going to do that? Yeah. Like in this situation, really? And he's like, yeah, they're going to do that.
That's where they make their money.
And at some point we got like the clearance, like, okay, there's nothing left here. Everything else is pretty much like on automatic. You can't go in the house anyway. The inspector will come later. So we got the girls. We got what was essentially their go bags. And we drove this way. The girls, I don't know if I've mentioned this before, but the girls think Xander is just the bee's knees.
Yeah.
He's the hero. And it much to the dismay of Piper, who would love to be in his position.
Right.
Everything is about Xander. So we're in the drive over here. Kim and I are kind of keeping it light with jokes and whatnot. It's like, what can you do in this situation outside? Like, make completely just asinine and irrelevant jokes about how terrible the situation is and laugh about it.
It's that or depression.
Right.
You know what I mean?
She obviously, the entire family is distraught and upset about the loss of the cats. They're cat people. They're and they had pugs in the past, but Kim, that house is a pet house, no different than our house is, right?
Right.
The dogs and cats are part of the family. They just
3 dogs here and 3 cats there.
Right. They just walk different.
Yeah.
So the jokes and the conversation and whatnot, we kept it light just as a coping thing. So the girls get in the car, and the girls are just very matter-of-fact about it. They're like, so, Uncle Jay, it looks like we're going to have to stay with you for a couple days. And then I can't remember which one it was, but there was like right at one, they didn't miss a beat, and it was, and stay with Xander.
Oh, my God.
And it was just like, I think they'll be okay.
Right.
Right. And when I left here, I'm like, there wasn't a lot of like prepping. It was just like, they're probably going to stay in your room, Xander. You sleep with Piper tonight. Be mindful, this is a terrible situation. They got here. They were really tired. They almost essentially went straight to bed in Xander's room. My kids had prepped Xander's room for guests, and Xander was already staged for Piper's room. Kim kind of got them ready. They went to bed, and then my kids went to bed. And then we chilled on the couch while we tried to figure out exactly what we would do about my brother, who no one had heard from.
Mm-hmm. He was whisked away.
Yeah,
and never be heard from again.
What do we do? How do we do this? So it was obviously the simple solution was you just call the burn unit,
sure,
and then ask around. And eventually she got a hold of him, and he had 2nd-degree burns, but hadn't really gotten through the system yet. Hadn't got it treated. That was somewhere about 1 a.m., 1 to 2 a.m. About 3-ish or so, he said, I can. We're already just like resigning the entire night, no sleep.
He'll be. We'll see him in the morning, or
yeah. Well, I mean, Kim obviously is riding endorphins, adrenaline.
Yeah. Sure.
There's no way, and given that no one really knew 100% what Brett's condition was, like how bad are the 2nd-degree burns on his hands. It was like,
it was my understanding he left the house with no wallet and no phone, right?
So he had no wallet and no phone, and he had no shoes.
Oh.
And he was in like we're all, and pretty much everybody these days is dressed in like casual frumpies.
Comfy, just chilling at home.
PJ bottoms and like
it's the 1st of January.
Right,
like you're just chilling at home.
No one's planning for fire.
No. And if you are, it's in your fireplace.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Or it's in a pit out back or something like that.
God damn. So we get a call. We pick him up. He's worse for wear and just like Kim, kind of just trying to grasp the gravity of the situation. We had staged the RV for them to sleep in, although I don't think they got much sleep at all.
Right.
And then we essentially started the ball rolling Friday. I don't even know. Saturday on like the carnage of like, what do you do next?
Yeah.
Kind of thing. And I will say, as far as what a lot of the mechanics, I would probably be lost on because I was working. The RV was like in almost like a project state, like between the vents that I had just fixed, and like one of my New Year's resolutions I was about ready to tell Venus was like 2021, we're selling the RV, we're getting it done. We don't use it, it's done. We got to get it gone.
Yeah.
And here we are in like this cosmic fucking bizarre situation
Where it's needed.
Yeah. And all of the little things that I had kind of been kicking down the road, like, well, I'll fix this to increase the value as we sell it. You know, I hadn't gotten to the engine battery needed to be replaced. Really, the cab battery probably should be replaced. But inside, it was okay. Ready for, camping or someone to sleep in it. The garage itself, the holidays were still with us. So, there was still cardboard from gifts and wrapping paper and probably dump run or two. And here we are, like, trying to figure out how to get stuff from another house of what's left. Where do we put it kind of thing.
Yeah.
They obviously lost both cars in the thing, so they had no transportation.
Mm-hmm.
So I had arranged with my sister, her and her current live-in boyfriend, and my nephew went up to get my dad's truck so that we could then go to the house and see what was up. Now, to circle back to the vultures. So if you're a piece of shit that cut locks after a family had lost their home and their cars, a family of 4.
So but I think what you got to do is, my understanding is that there's a crew, or maybe...
Yes, these are the boarders. So here's the timeline that we were led to. So the boarders come. This was somewhere around...
Who are the boarders? Are they...
It's like a subcontract company. In this
from
case...
the insurance company, or they bill the insurance company somehow or something like that? Or?
I presume it was, in our case, or their case, it was Beeline. I don't know if it's like a tow truck service where it's like the first to respond gets the job.
Oh, I see.
I don't know how it's delegated.
I got
but
you.
In the case of them, a Beeline Construction came and boarded up the house and put the security fence up, and then padlocked a security fence that went essentially to the sidewalk, to the perimeter of the house, so that no one could get in it.
Right.
They boarded up the garage, the sidewalls, and then the front door actually wasn't damaged in any form or fashion, so it was locked. So the front door was still functioning as a normal door.
Okay.
It was essentially the garage that had to be boarded up, which was. So shortly after the construction team, and the windows, because the windows had been broken out. So they boarded up the windows, the garage, and locked the door with their normal house key.
Okay.
The board team completes their task and leaves. From witnesses, there was a car essentially waiting for the construction and boarding team to leave. And then this car drives up to the driveway, cuts the padlocks, and then knocks down the front door that was locked, and then ransacked the house for whatever treasures they could find. So jewelry, cash, like a takeaway vaults, not a vault, like lock chests, safes.
Yeah.
And anything else. So they took consoles. They took Kim's wedding ring. I think Brett's wedding ring as well. Her 2 guitars, and then I think a couple other things, random miscellaneous things.
That's the worst.
So
that is the worst kind
pieces
of
of shit.
Yep.
That literally chased a family's tragedy and then compounded it before they had a chance to see what was recoverable, to make their life just like, I didn't lose that.
Yeah.
Someone came in and then stole it.
Yeah.
Absolutely fucking livid. Like, I cannot believe that there are people like that out there. Just ooh. And then when we had to, obviously the morning, we had to get up even earlier than we had intended, because now it's a case. It's a police case, a crime scene. So we had to witness that the fucking locks had been bolt cuttered, and that there was a cop there again. like what was taken, this, that, and the other thing, witnesses telling, and that it's a thing. This isn't like a one-off.
This is something that happens probably over and over
these
again.
assholes sit with police scanners and fire department scanners, and then go to the scenes essentially and like wait, and then they time it so that way the construction sounds late at night or whatnot are essentially masked by the neighbors. Essentially think all of the sounds are all one and the same.
They're still working.
There's people still in the house because they're still doing a thing. If you're having to ram on a door, well, that's probably the nail gun of the guy is still right? Take shit and then leave. Fucking asshats.
The worst of the worst.
There's
a special place in hell for those kind of people.
There's a special place.
Yeah.
And I will tell you that that's probably the worst, but not the best part. Certainly not the best part. And it's like it's easy to get agitated by it, and I'm certainly pissed off about it. But it's completely overshadowed by the generosity of not only the people that I'm surrounded by, but that they're surrounded by,
right?
And complete strangers who knew nothing of them, but gave donations of clothes for the girls, money, gift cards, their own clothes, their own items, their own toys, so that the girls have things. Absolutely blown away.
Yeah.
And while it's easy to circle back to the ninth circle of hell asshats, it's more important for me, I think, to make sure that it's acknowledged that there are more people that went above and beyond to make an absolute shit situation not so shitty. And I guarantee you, so if you're listening, you're one of the people that had donated or done something. Obviously, Brett and Kim aren't here. I won't get into their perspectives, but I will tell you that they are extremely, extremely grateful for everyone and anything that was given. Like they could not. There were multiple times where everyone was just kind of like dropped down to the weepies. When Shan dropped off stuff, it was a lot of times the door would close and we'd bring something in, and the girls' faces would light up, the Beanie Babies or whatever, and you would just kind of like, it's not so bad. It's not so bad. The door would shut. The Ring camera would go off. Not expecting anything, we'd open the door, and there are literally fucking piles of donations and stuff. Obviously Brett didn't have anything.
Yeah.
Trying to put his ass in my clothes is quite hilarious. I mistakenly said that he was 6'2". He's actually 6'4".
Oh, geez.
So like I said in my joke, if you want to see something funny, try and put a 6'4" man in a 5'10" man sweatpants.
Right.
It's quite hilarious. And I still stand by that I am swole and my shirts fit him comfortably. That's because I'm beefcake and he is not. I stand by that. And I told him I said that joke, and he didn't refute it because he knows.
Yeah.
He knows where the bear shit's in the woods.
Yeah.
And that didn't stop there, right? So she had friends, and you'll have to forgive me if you're listening and you're the person that started one of the GoFundMes. That started making the rounds. My sister did a whole bunch of groundwork with her Facebook and pushing out links. A number of things came through my sister, who was doing dead drops as well. Plenty of people were still abiding, the amount of people that came by and were doing masks too, right? Everyone was doing everything as safe as possible.
Yeah.
It can be done, and it was done. Love and gratitude was...
It doesn't bring the house back, but
right.
when you are like removed from your home in an instant and you have nothing,
yeah,
like you need some stuff. You need clothes. those are the important stuff,
Yeah.
and the girls especially.
And so we had
they
gotten
need some
over,
kind of normalcy, right?
And they were fully. And so I have to go. I hadn't talked to my daughter yet because things got so out of pace. We only got our first. So today's Wednesday. Yesterday we finally had a moment. I think for both households, relatively speaking. So we had prepped, and I got a bunch of stuff fixed in the RV to where I was comfortable that. So they took it to my dad's where they could have more space from certainly the crowdedness of two 4-person households all jammed into one 4-person household. Plus, my kids started school. Last night, I had the opportunity to sit my son down, who just turned 13, who acted like a 20-year-old as far as his maturity and his own approach to a shit situation. Venus and I sent him down like, I can't be more proud of what you've done for these little girls who lost pretty much everything.
Yeah.
I said, your aunt and uncle and I went and got what was left of their home, and it fit in a couple piles in our garage. I said, you could not look at our house. Look at the stuff in our house. I said, you could not put all of our shit in our garage. And this situation reduced all of their belongings to a couple of bags.
Right.
It was, what do you do? And the girls, I think, until they had to bury their cats, they themselves way mature for their age. I'm sure they were sad, and they had a number of really important and mature questions themselves. But I think having family and all of the donations and the well-wishings from everybody took a lot of the sting off of it for them. And my son was probably one of the largest bulwarks of that. He took, they loved him. They spent 90% of the time with him, being entertained by him and entertaining him. Just,
well, that's just good cousin fun.
Right.
Yeah,
But I told him, I cannot, your mom and I are just so proud, and we'll make it, the last 4 days of his winter break were spent in tandem tied to a situation that was not of his making, but he handled it without care or concern.
Right.
My daughter did the same, and unfortunately, because of the way school worked and her homework, she started school earlier. I haven't had this talk with her yet, but I'm sure there's going to be more tears because Venus got, and that's fine.
Yeah.
That's fine. It's well-earned tears because Piper did the same thing. She was just a little bit more like a rover in the house to the adults, making meals for the girls or something, or swapping laundry, that kind of thing. What do you need as me as a third hand as we tried to, I needed to make a run and she would watch Armageddon because Armageddon still needed to pee.
Right.
Fuck.
Too much happening at once.
Just, yeah.
Well, that was the first.
Yeah, and my dad is now essentially hosting them up the hill. So, obviously, and, family does what family,
Well, yeah. Yeah.
So, that was that.
That's a tough start to the year. You can't deny it.
It was very interesting Venus and I essentially emptied the RV so that they could take most, if not all, the donations and essentially restock the RV with their own stuff temporarily.
Yeah. Well, that was a comment I made to my wife was they don't even have duffel bags or suitcases or anything, right?
They had a couple. Somehow my brother made it out with out of the house with a bag that still had its tags on it, but nothing was in it. But yes,
okay.
They had no luggage.
Even if you have donations of clothes. If you have nothing to put it in, it's going to be difficult to move that around.
Oddly, luckily enough with the RV, they went straight into closets. But that required Venus and I to, man, I had like a moment where I almost got sick to my stomach because I was realizing, juxtaposing what was left of a family's belongings inside my garage. And Venus and I are like, well, let's go clean out the RV. You take first and I'll keep the girls and watch Armageddon. So I'm in the RV and I'm, pulling stuff out of closets and drawers and whatnot. And I came out of the RV with, enough apparel to be fine for a family of 4.
Mm-hmm.
Like, here I am.
2 houses.
I have 2 houses of clothes and shit.
Yeah.
And here's a family who's been boiled down to nothing. I'm like, it almost like, why have I done this? Like, I can't believe, and if you've listened to the last couple of podcasts, I'm sitting here, telling people to, and I have, like, donate to food banks and whatnot. And it hadn't occurred to me while it was closed, like the amount of gluttonous shit that I had acquired. Did it make camping convenient? Absolutely.
Right.
But when you're faced with a situation where you can see someone who lost everything and has nothing for the most part, and you have a grotesque overabundance, if you're not shocked into humility by it, you're probably listening to a scanner to fucking pillage some dude's house after a fire. So we immediately, Venus, the last couple of days, has taken everything that was in the RV and went to Goodwill with it. So there's a little bit of like weight off the heart there, but still it's like I let this happen. It just feels weird. Like, damn.
Well, part of that was convenience for camping
absolutely.
or whatever. It's
like it's one thing. It'd be one thing if it was like a spare jacket, but we had specifically
spare closets,
entire fucking closets.
Yeah.
Like that, it
made it easy for though when you went camping. You didn't have to pack a lot.
Absolutely,
yeah,
it did. But it was like it's too much.
Yeah.
I let that get away from me.
Well, also too, if you're looking at possibly getting rid of the RV, you won't need that anymore anyway. So
right, and it was one of the things that I think I had chatted with you about, is when you had checked in, like, how are you doing? It's like, there are tons of things that like are relative to my household that all of a sudden became in like hyper project mode. It's like, oh, there are like the little things I wanted to get to that, I'll get to it. It's right down the road. Like all the little things in the RV that were inconsequential because, like the vents, those were broken, so I had to fix them right away. But I knew the batteries were probably of age and needed to be replaced, but I hadn't because it was like, I'll get to it in the spring.
Yeah. There's no urgency for it.
Right. I needed to make a couple dump runs in the back. I was disassembling the spa. All of a sudden, the fence gate that I have parts to fix, that's essentially was being temporarily held up with counterweights. Well, now I need to get the RV out of the back. And where normally I would not hesitate to do that as a single person job, I had to have Venus spot the gate, to get me out because I was afraid if I hit a side, I'd lose the entire fence.
Right. Only
to then find out once I got the RV out, the next, I think that was Saturday. When did we get the next rain after? Might have been Sunday evening.
I don't know.
Yeah, right. Sunday, I got the RV out probably Sunday evening. Monday morning, the gate actually gave way in the wind and the rain. So the gate that I really should have put as a high priority fix because I knew it was on its last leg, a quarter of its last leg, like, fuck me. So I'm trying to do little fixer things. I'm trying to make, the whole scenario for Brett and Kim to take weight off of their shoulders, doing all the things that they don't have to worry about it. And now I've got my fucking fence just fell down.
Right.
Because that's on me because I fucked that up. It's like, God damn it, dude.
Yeah, but there's no foresight to know that.
No, there's not. But
that.
I knew it was something to be done, right? So there's something about I'm telling you, if you're gonna do something in 2021, address your procrastination.
Yeah.
Because who knows when something goes sideways, right? Clean your gutters, fix your fence gate. Trust me. I
get it. No, I do. I mean, I get it.
God, yeah.
I got a couple fences that'll come down. But you know what really hit me was I came on the show pretty heated a couple weeks ago about Chandler almost burning our house down.
Oh yeah. Yes.
And man, I thought a lot about that. I mean, we weren't that far away from having a similar situation at my house.
Yeah.
And I
especially both. I think both of our houses. I mean, when I looked at Brett's rafters, because his is even older than yours. I mean, it the amount of times I've been over there, they're open rafters, and you could see like it does not shock me in the slightest. Like if something was shorted or was lit, like it would tinderbox.
It would travel throughout the house super fast.
Yeah. So, the older our houses are, the more prone they are to something just completely getting out of hand.
Well, I think
I could see you having like a flashback of like, fuck, we were that close.
Yeah, well, like I said, when we're in the house and little fires are burning in the carpet and here and there in the hall, in the entry hall, I was not happy. And I was like, this is how the house goes. This is how we lose the house.
Yeah.
We're going to be homeless for Christmas. That's what I was saying.
Yeah.
And
turns out.
Yeah, sadly.
So let me ask you this, because they had a go bag. Do you guys have like a go bag? Like
hell no.
Yeah.
I mean, do you?
Yes.
Oh, you do?
Oh, yeah.
Have you? Did you have one prior to?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, my Venus is fucking on top of that shit. I mean, and we have a safe too. So, it would be like, grab this. Now, the kids I'll be honest, I don't think the kids have an individual go bag, but Venus and I have like a financials, paperwork, passports, that kind of like a safe and a tote.
We have one of those. But as far as like spare clothes in a bag that I can
we don't have that.
Okay.
We'd be same scenario there. You get your go bag of financials, I'm sure, your paperwork if you can,
birth certificates and shit
but
like that.
really it's kids, animals, the humans can get the fuck out and everything else can be replaced.
That's just terrible. Like, I just think like the one thing my wife cherishes the most is, and I know your wife also thinks it's important because you took heat for it pretty bad, is photographs, digital pictures.
Oh yeah.
If we had a house fire, like, fuck, that's gonna be one of the things I grab on the way out the door is the RAID and the extra hard drive. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Because without those, that would be really bad.
Yeah. Yeah. But like I said, I think I'm a little bit ahead of that now at this point because I think we've talked.
Yeah, you have offsite backup.
I've started to transfer those things off.
Yeah.
But not everything I have as far as family memories is obviously digital. And they didn't either, right? They got their computers, and a lot of their stuff is also in the cloud or somewhere digitally offsite. And they were also lucky enough to, like I said, the back of the house, for the most part, was untouched outside of like water and smoke damage.
Right.
Or if it wasn't looted by an asshole.
I mean, I feel like it's going to be weeks, months, maybe even a couple years of, oh shit, that's another thing we don't have.
Probably.
Oh shit.
I think that would be
I forgot
reasonable.
all about XYZ kind of things, fuck, that's gone.
Yeah.
We lost that in the fire. There's going to be a lot of that happening.
I'm sure.
It's it's not, you're not going to think about it right away.
Where was that thing that, did I have one of those?
I had one of those?
Yeah.
Oh, damn, we lost that too. Damn it.
Yeah.
That's rough, man.
Yeah.
That's...
Yeah.
I mean, we didn't have any of that stuff happening.
It certainly puts into
house.
sort of like, I think we would need probably to fine tune a little bit more of like, have a go bag. Where do we go? Making a double check on like contacts. There's certainly some of those moments that need to be circled back to in our house. Like I said, we've been bang, 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 right up pretty much until yesterday evening.
Yeah.
It was, balls to the walls. No regrets. Like, it is what it is. I wouldn't change anything. I'm glad I was available. I'm glad everyone's okay.
To be able to help out is,
absolutely.
It's important.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like I said, and I made like a New Year's resolution to, stop.
I think I know where this is headed.
I had made a New Year's resolution that I also, amongst the sell the RV in 2021, that was, give up refined sugar. I was like going to start my international marathon training pretty soon. I was going to like tidy up my diet. And one of my things was like, cut out refined sugar. Now I'd done this, and so did Venus when we did P90X, like what's probably 10 years ago now at this point. It's not hard when you just start and you just commit to it.
Yeah.
You'll make it. It's an adjustment, but you'll make it, and we've done it.
Yeah.
So it was like New Year. I'm gonna go back to that. I'm gonna cut out the refined sugar. Like I said, I got in my stocking. I got like the party size bag of Reese's Pieces.
For one man.
For one man. I hadn't tapped it.
That's what she said?
Well, yeah. Hey. I hadn't tapped it on Christmas because I figured, maybe I won't open this at all, and I'll save it for when I get done.
Yeah.
But on New Year's Eve, I was like, no, I'm going to have mules, and I can't remember what we had for dinner. It's obviously not important at this point. And we got done with dinner. I had mules because of soda. So the ginger beer, sugar and the ginger beer, like I'll have a couple mules. And I opened up the bag of Reese's Pieces, had a couple handfuls between like getting up to midnight. Right at midnight, no shit. As soon as we got the hugs and the Happy New Year, yeah, zipped the fucking bag, put it up in the pantry, and I was like, check me out. Man, I
am good.
Will of steel.
Uh-huh.
I poured out what was left of like the small amount of my mule because I'm like, oh, it's got sugar in it. Fucking, I'm done.
It's after midnight.
Fuck, it's after midnight. I'm good. Poured it out. I was like, solid. And then
You're like,
yeah, I can't remember. It was Sunday or Saturday. I think it was Sunday. I was, like I said, I was in the pantry, like, fiending for something. I look up, I see the Reese's Pieces, and I'm like, fuck this.
You deserve a break today.
Daddy needs the Reese's Pieces. I binged that entire fucking bag the rest of the evening. Absolutely. I hit it. And then I was looking over at the box of donuts that Angie and Mike had brought by, and I'm like, these are my people. My people understand. I fucking hit the maple bars.
Nice.
And then there was like the chocolate bars that were in there. Like the chocolate had slid off it.
Oh, yeah.
Like fucking that guy in RovoCop that got hit with acid when he hits him with the car. Like the chocolate slid off the maple bar.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, that shit needs to get eaten too. So I ate the 2 chocolate ones that everyone was like, oh, those are broken. I'm like, fuck no, Daddy eats those. Until we're around this corner, around this tragedy, refined sugar is my bitch, and I'm gonna make it my bitch.
But now you're back.
But now I'm back.
Yeah.
So, and plus the Reese's Pieces are gone.
Yeah.
And the donuts are gone.
And you don't have any more ginger beer.
And no, I have some, but that
I'll take it if you want. I'll just take it home with me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Then you won't have to.
I thought about ordering those monster ginger mules that Ted that Ted had seen.
Yeah.
But then I'm like, well, I can't because no refined sugar.
Right? Now hold on. I got a question. So speaking of use ginger beer for your mules.
Yes.
Have you tried the extra bold Canadian dry ginger ale?
I think we have it. I've taken a sip, but I haven't used one in a drink. The girls use it for their upset stomachs, so I didn't buy it for me. I think the girls had used it.
Okay. I didn't know if it was mule worthy.
I don't know. I like the
tangy.
Yeah, the little bit more spicy.
Yeah.
And Argonaut would probably know too. Like I don't mind the having particulates like sediment, like extra ginger mash in it. A lot of times you don't get that from the Canada Dries.
No.
Yeah. I don't know how they get it so gingery, but I like to me it makes me feel like it's a little more
wholesome.
Yeah.
Not just pure sugar.
It's not as fakey because look, there's stuff taking up some of that sugar space.
There's real ginger.
Yeah.
It came out of my my sushi.
Right. It's pure sugar cane.
Yeah.
That's a vegetable or something.
Oh, I didn't have that much excitement, man. I didn't.
Oh my God, that reminds me. So your honey wheat berry. You got some, yeah?
Yes. Okay.
One.
Did you like it?
It's the tiny bread.
Oh no.
You buy a normal size loaf?
Yeah. Well, there's. So is it did you buy the Oro wheat one?
Yes.
Okay. That bread's okay. Not my favorite.
Okay.
I bought also an Oro wheat, but Safeway has their own. I don't know who bakes it for them, but in their own packaging, the Safeway brand or whatever, it's actually better than the Oro. The Oro wheat's a little dense kind of bread. It's a little heavier.
Yeah.
The Safeway one's a little lighter, and I do kind of like that.
So it's not the same. Like I said, these were like they're
they're
it's
smaller.
like a tiny loaf.
Yeah,
well,
there are different sizes.
Okay, but yours, the Safeway brand, is like a normal sandwich size.
Yeah.
Okay. So,
but the sandwich I showed you because I made grilled cheeses in the air fryer.
Okay.
That was the Oro wheat bread.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you know what the berry is in the honey wheat berry?
No, I meant to look. Did you look?
Yes.
Okay, what is it?
Raisins.
Oh. So it keeps you regular.
Yes.
Oh, perfect.
So
it's just adding sweetness.
The thing that as I was going down, I'm like, I wonder what the berry is because Jim said he didn't know what the berry is.
Yeah, I wasn't sure.
It's a raisin. So now the thing that stuck in my craw as I was going up and down the aisles was like, wait.
Jim says there's a thing called honey wheat berry, and I have never seen it.
So the thing is, there is like a tomato thing about whether or not a grape is a berry.
Because I wouldn't call it a berry.
Because a berry shouldn't have a stone, but yet some grapes do.
A stone, you mean a seed?
Stone, yeah, like a center seed.
Okay.
So the classification of a grape sometimes waffles between like the specialists in the area as to whether or not a grape is a berry or not.
So if it's seedless, then it's not. If it's just got a seed.
Oh, man. Like I went down the fucking rabbit hole like, wow, I did not know this was a thing.
Now, is it in all honey wheat berry? Is it always raisin?
I don't know. The Oro wheat berry
is a raisin.
So it's like the bastard husk of a grape.
It's funny that you mentioned that because a couple times I was like, oh, I got to look and see what the berry is.
I'd be interested to see if the Rayleigh's one is a raisin.
Oh, you mean the Safeway one?
Yeah, Safeway.
Yeah.
What did I say? Rayleigh's?
Yeah.
No.
I don't know. They probably come from, if Rayleigh's has their own, it's probably from the same bakery.
I would like to see a normal sized loaf.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, man, then I was depressed because he's going to make me a fucking turkey sandwich on this small bitch-ass sized bread. Like, that's not even a real sandwich. Like, this is janky.
Well, the only reason why I bought that Oro wheat loaf, the small size that it is, they're the smaller little pieces of bread, is because that was the only honey wheat berry they had at the time in Safeway. But I have bought other the Safeway version of honey wheat berry, which is a little better in my opinion. It's not as dense, a little lighter. I mean, they're both good though.
So you dazzled us with the brilliance of a grilled cheese
in the air fryer.
Yeah.
It's insane.
Somewhere on Saturday, in the carnage of this whole thing, Saturday or Sunday, in just making conversation and talking stuff with Brett and Kim, we were talking about the air fryer and the podcast and the air fryer, and Vince was like, I want a fucking air fryer, so I bought a fucking air fryer.
Oh, did you?
We did.
Oh, okay. Is it here?
Yeah, it's there.
You got it already?
Yeah, just unpacked it before the podcast.
Oh, okay, cool.
So I was telling Venus earlier this morning, I'm like, and Jim made a fucking grilled cheese in it. She's like, it'll toast up? Like, it's a goddamn, like, toast. It's toaster oven. A glorified, super awesome toster oven with moving air.
Yeah.
She's like, okay.
I don't see how that
She's
works.
like, well, what did it look like? And I asked him for a fucking picture, and you know what he told me? What? He fucking ate it, and he didn't have a picture.
I didn't.
And it wasn't until later, obviously, that you had made another one.
Yeah, today.
And then sent it. I'm like, yeah, it toasts like a toaster.
Okay.
So now we are going to shit can our toaster, which none of us like anyway.
Oh, okay.
And just replace it with the
air fryer?
The air fryer.
Okay, so here's the difference between using the air fryer and like using a grilled cheese like on a griddle.
Okay.
Is like when you cook a grilled cheese on a griddle, you have the weight is pressing down. It's only cooking on one side. So you're grilling only on one side.
Right.
So you kind of get like a flatness grill part.
Yeah.
Whereas when you put it in the air fryer, you don't get that. It's not being pressed down. It's cooking from both sides.
No compression.
Yeah, you don't have like that flat sort of like texture.
Okay. Because
it's frying and it's just bread.
Right.
So you get sort of that bread texture, but with the fry also.
Okay.
Now, what I do is I think I have it cooking.
Hold on. Is there a problem with the cheese melting?
Oh, no.
Some of that compression helps condense.
Oh, no.
Okay.
Because it's baking also, right?
Okay.
It's
all right.
baking and air frying.
Okay.
So
Carry on.
Butter the bread, put the cheese in. Our air fryer, I don't know which one you bought. The air fryer we have, you start up, you get it hot, then you put the sandwich, and then you put the stuff in. So
Okay.
get it hot, put the sandwich in there, and then let it cook for a bit, check it, and then when the top starts to get brown, flip it. Okay. Then check it again, and then I end up flipping it like 3 to 4 times, depending on what the sides need.
Mm-hmm.
It's fucking amazing because not only does it cook and crisp up the bread as if you're grilling it, but also the crust gets crispy.
So it's all the way.
Yeah, and the cheese, if the cheese starts to come out, you get that crispy cheese that's like cooked into the edge of the bread.
So like the squeeze in cheese.
You could if you had enough cheese coming out, it would.
But it'll get okay.
Yeah, but it's not flowing out and like cooking on a surface. It's like air frying at the edges of the bread.
Gotcha.
But I was like, I'm gonna try this. I'd never tried. No one's ever told me to do it. I just thought, I'll give it a whirl.
See what happens.
Yeah, and it worked really well.
That's interesting. To get that like crunchy, like butter caramelized, but also 360.
Yeah.
Not just the faces of the sandwich itself.
Yeah. Now it is cooking both sides, but what I notice is that the bottom won't cook as quick. That's why you do the flip.
Mm-hmm.
So you can just do the flip until you get. And I like my stuff. Brown food is good food, in my opinion. When I'm cooking food, I'm going for some color because that makes the food better. So when I make grilled cheeses and shit like that, I want them kind of well done and crispy. This is far and away crispier than any grilled cheese I've ever been able to get on a
Fucking
grill.
A.
Yeah.
So
now I'm excited for you to try it.
I need to do this.
Yeah. Do it tonight after the show.
I'll probably do it.
Yeah.
I'm fucking hungry.
Do it, motherfucker.
God damn it.
But yeah, so I like experimenting.
Yeah.
The other thing we use it for all the time is like fries. Like we'll do just like burgers with fries.
Yeah.
Dude, it's insane with fries. It's like deep frying fries, but you're not deep frying the fries. It's crazy.
It'll be nice to see because Venus tried to make, or she didn't try. She did make like a comfort dish on Saturday or Sunday. I don't remember which. She was making her and Piper made beignets.
Okay.
And, of course, she then had a jug of hot oil left over from, and she was literally like, I think that may have been when she went, fucking air fryer, Jim in the air fryer. Fucking, I can't stand this oil. It's bullshit.
Oh, yeah. Now, so if you want to cook something like that, you're not filling, obviously, the air fryer with oil. You would coat whatever it is in oil and then fry it so that it's not soaking in the oil, but the oil is going to allow the outside to crisp up.
I'll be really curious to
So you're using way less oil.
Figure out how to do that.
Yeah. But it's a challenge. There's a couple things that we've cooked in there. It's like, is this good? I tried doing just a Stouffer pizza bread.
Like a French bread or flatbread?
Yeah, a little French bread Stouffer thing.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay. And I put it on bake and I threw it in there, and it tells you to cook them like 20 minutes in the oven. I'm not even kidding. It was in there like 8 minutes. I pulled it open, and the whole fucking thing looked like a brown log. It was so dark. And it wasn't burnt, really. So I pulled it out, let it kind of cool off, started eating. It was fine. It wasn't. It was just really dark.
Right. Because it gets all.
Yeah, and it cooked super fast.
Cookie sheet.
Yeah, and it cooked super fast. So that one that we just replaced is super efficient when it cooks. It's really amazing, actually.
Damn.
I'm impressed.
I'm excited.
Yeah.
Fucking why not?
Now, toaster ovens. So you have a toaster oven or a toaster?
No, we just had a normal toaster.
Oh, okay. We use the shit out of a toaster oven. I did a bunch of research several years ago now, and came across a Panasonic toaster oven.
Okay.
And what's unique about this toaster oven, it uses infrared light bars inside. So when it heats up, these bars come on, it gets really bright, and that's how it toasts stuff.
Okay.
And that's what heats up the inside of the toaster oven. And this toaster oven, by far and away, is the best toaster oven I've ever seen. And this was all the reviews I read at the time, and I'm like, well, it's kind of expensive compared to the one that the door exploded on us.
Right.
So let's give it a whirl. It's supposed to be, and we've had it now for years, and the thing is a monster. And my wife's like, if this thing ever dies, you know what I mean? We have to get whatever the next version of it is and hopefully they still make one.
I was going to say, have you looked to know?
They do. They have a newer version of the same toaster oven that we have.
Yeah.
And that thing just gets abused. It's used almost every day.
I want to say the last time we were over at Sarah's, Sarah had a really amazing, I can't remember the manufacturer, but it looked awesome too. I'm like, fuck.
Yeah.
But now I have a air fryer, so I can't get another appliance.
Well, like I said,
but hers look cool.
I mean, our kitchen is tiny, and that air fryer has earned its spot on the kitchen counter.
Yeah, well, and that was the thing too, right?
Yeah.
So Venus is like, well, how big is it? And I'm like, I just hit the buy button, and so it wasn't until I had unpacked it, probably an hour and a half ago, where I had set it next to we have a 4-slice bagel capable toaster.
Yeah.
I mean, it's probably 2 to 3 inches wider, certainly taller.
Yeah.
But as far as like something that, it's not, the footprint isn't that much worse than the current toaster we have.
Right.
Does it take up more space? Absolutely. There's no doubt it takes up more space. But when you're looking at, I'm going to put this up against the backsplash on the wall, it's negligible given what it's also going to be doing and taking away from the current toaster, which only had one function.
Right.
It's like, well, this isn't that bad.
Well,
we'll be okay.
We did baked potatoes in it too.
Oh, really?
And they were awesome. They came out crispy. I just coated them with some butter, I think, and then salted the crap out of them. Put them in the toaster oven. Baked them like
money.
Yeah, money. They were crispy, well done. They were. I mean, if you don't want to heat up your oven, they're perfect.
Yeah. Did it take the same amount of time? Baked potato?
No, I think
normal
it was
size,
a little,
like Idaho.
Yeah, I think it was a little shorter actually.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
And you're not heating this big space; you're just doing this space. You know what I mean? So
well,
I just think it's more efficient. Did you get the same one that we have?
No, we got the
multiple.
Yeah, and it has a basket to spin inside it, like a rotisserie.
Okay. You got a fancy one.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it was $99.
Oh, that's not
I'll
bad.
make for the amount of.
Yeah.
And the Instapot vendor one.
The Insta Vortex.
Yeah. So, I have no, like we talked about last week, I'm impressed with the fit and finish quality of the Instapots. We have 2. So I'm like, well, I'll try and stay in the same vendor. It was shared the same review tier of the Instapots, which were all really good. I'm like, okay, well, and under $100, I'm like,
yeah,
I will take this over 1, replacing the toaster, 2, all the hot oil and garbage that I, repackaging. Where the fuck do I do with like half a pint of oil? I'm like, worth the experiment.
Yeah.
Plus, Venus wanted one. # I love your wife.
And plus I probably helped that I.
Yeah, you grease the wheels.
Yeah.
And if push comes to shove, I can blame you. We'll just call it.
Oh, it's great. We love that thing. Yeah. In fact, my biggest problem is when it gets used, whoever used it last doesn't clean the inside of it out, and then I want to use it, and then I've got to wash it before I can use it.
That's why they make chainsaws.
To wash.
Or beatings.
Oh, yeah, belts.
Yeah, belts
and
whips.
chainsaws.
Yeah, chain link.
Yeah, I think if you like to cook stuff like that, like we do, I mean, even just little lunchy. Like I think yesterday, I just made chicken crispers in and little chicken fingers. Just a quick lunch. Just threw them in there. It beeps when you turn the food. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Pull it out, turn the food, put it back in, then it beeps when it's done, and it works. Shit's crispy.
That's awesome.
I'm excited for you to try it.
We're at time, but I'm gonna leave us on a funny haha. So At some point, multiple episodes back, we had talked about the Apple TV Plus show C.
Yeah.
And how the Queen would her praying was masturbating, fingering herself, or getting chow box.
Right.
So, obviously, we're here with my brother and sister-in-law, and the girls are playing with Xander. Brett and I, it's getting closer to the evening. I think it was Sunday night going into Monday night, or Monday. We're looking for stuff to watch. I'm like, here, watch C, because I had told him about it in passing, like great post-apocalyptic, great story options. So we're watching it, and it had, while we were talking about some of the mechanics of the show and the story and how things were working, I had forgotten about the praying.
Okay.
So the girls were actually out grocery shopping and picking up some of the dinner needfuls for the evening, and we had just gotten to the part where she licks the fingers and just starts going to town, and Brett and I are just we're rolling because it's funny. And I said, so then I paused it and I told him, I said, because he didn't listen to the fucking podcast.
Asshole.
I said, I know, dickhead. If you wonder why, it's probably because you don't listen to my podcast. I said, so here's your dad's story, brother. I said, we're watching this show with Piper. I said, we get to this exact part right here. And he's like, yeah. And I can't find the fucking remote. And he's like, ooh. What'd you do? And I went, we wrote it out.
Let it play.
This is a teachable moment. I said, everybody jerks off and masturbates and vibrates, whatever the fuck. And he's like, oh, and then we're laughing about it. We're having a funny joke. And I said, so now in the house, it's just like a running thing about, well, I'll pray for you. Oh, will you?
Exactly.
Like her Piper's friends. We haven't, Xander's not in on the joke, but I said, Piper gets it. We get it. As a family, it was just one of those things. You're coming of age. We're talking about masturbation. It's good to go. And he's like, ha, ha, ha. it's still paused, and the ladies come in the front door, and Venus sees the screen, and she's like, oh. And then Piper comes in, and she hasn't quite processed what's on the screen. She gets almost to the kitchen, and someone, I don't know if it was Venus or myself, I can't remember, makes a joke about praying. And Piper, from the kitchen, no, stop, no praying. And then the entire household is laughing. Kim is completely caught unawares because perhaps she missed the podcast. It's okay. And then the entire family of 16-year-old and are now in on the praying joke, and so now it was an awesome way to completely put a little bit more levity into the shit weekend, and it's really awesome to be able to have that level of openness and funny haha with your brother and sister-in-law. It just made everything a little bit better to be able to laugh about something that was totally ridiculous. And it wasn't like awkward, prudish in any way. We're making jokes about praying the rest of the week, all the way up till Tuesday. In fact, I think it was this morning, Kim had made a joke about how Brett, because he's got gauze on all his fingertips,
he's unable to pray.
Yeah, Brett's unable to pray. he's unable to pray, and he's having struggles. And then I made a joke about how I heard this thing where you could cut open a grapefruit and put it in a microwave, and you could pray with a grapefruit. And then he made a joke about how, if you get citrus too close to your pee hole, then you've got problems. And I said, well, if he needs a smaller fruit, so that way he doesn't get that close, or perhaps that's his problem. Some of us have to use cantaloupes or some shit.
Yeah, it's a honeydew.
God, it was just... It's really good to have really good family.
Yeah.
God, a terrible situation wasn't so bad, and I'm really thankful for good family.
Yep, I'm hoping that things will
they have
improve for them.
A lot of the stuff that you would think to be hassled with, bureaucracy of insurance and whatnot. To the best of my understanding, they're not getting any unnecessary hurdles or ass hats in that space.
That's good.
So hopefully it's on as painless process for them the rest of the way. I know that they're both capable, and with the donations and the well-wishings of everyone that has given stuff, I know that they've been provided for to fill some of the gaps of the things that have been missing. So
awesome. Good
stuff.
All right.
I'm going to leave you with a quote, because we also had some interesting stuff in D.C. happen. And then the Georgia elections, depending on your party affiliation, went well or not well. And also given the gratitude of and the awesomeness of people, the donations and whatnot. So this applies to just about everything of late. Yeah. So it's from Martin Luther King. And the quote is, "In a real sense, all life is interrelated. All men are caught in an inescapable network of mutuality, tied in a single garment of destiny. Whatever affects one directly affects all indirectly. I can never be what I ought to be until you are what you ought to be. And you can never be what you ought to be until I am what I ought to be. This is the interrelated structure of reality." So when you think about what you want to do with your life, it's all connected to whether or not you can see the compassion or the grievances of someone that has no direct relation to you. If you can have that perspective, perhaps we'll all be a little bit better off down the road.
Nice
Wash
quote.
your hands.
Return the cart.
Wash your ass.
Wear the mask.
And there you go. We'll catch you next week.
Do the kindness.
Yeah, that one too.
Take it easy. Thanks.
Bye.